What's up, guys? This is Will with thewillgrant.com. Give it to us, Will.
What's up, guys? I'm Will with thewillgrant.com, and in this video, I'm super stoked to introduce you to somebody who's been a huge inspiration to me named Pete Kanaris. He actually owns a company called Green Dreams that is truly making the world a better place by creating, designing, and installing completely edible landscapes that not only provide us with the most nutritious, chemically free food, but actually help heal and regenerate the earth and helps fight and combat climate change. I first met Pete when I was actually on a search to find what is the best possible foods that we can eat, and it just kept leading me into organically grown, chemically free grown food, and the closer that food is actually grown to where we live, the more nutritious that food is. So this led me into actually attempting to grow my own food the typical way of buying these fragile annual vegetables, making raised beds, and buying soil, which really led to nothing but frustration and failure, as I am traveling a lot and I had a hard time taking care of these plants and keeping them alive. After finding his YouTube channel, I was absolutely amazed to see him installing these completely edible landscapes, almost like a food forest that reminded me much of like Willy Wonka in the Chocolate Factory, but with nutritious fruits and vegetables, where you could just walk around and pick like a Garden of Eden of a variety of all these different nutritious foods.
I was getting ready to lean over my shoulder and grab something you could eat while you were talking about it, you know? So the big difference between permaculture and standard agriculture, you know, standard agriculture today is monocultures, one species grown in fields, you know, and it's depleting soil. You know, there's runoff, there's chemicals used on it, where permaculture, naturals mimics natural systems in nature. You know, look behind us, you know, we have large oak trees. You know, it mimics a natural system where it's very diverse. There's multi-species, there's multi-layers. Like, nobody goes out here and waters the forest behind me. You know, it's very self-maintaining. Nobody goes and fertilizes the forest. So permaculture takes all of these things we see in nature and actually develops them into an edible system that mimics nature in many ways.
When I first heard about permaculture and just how it just aligns with the same systems and laws of nature, I was super stoked. I came here, I called Pete, and he actually was super nice. He gave us a full tour of his place, and then we left with a full truck of a bunch of edible plants and trees to start our own mini food forest.
Sent you on your way packing, huh?
Sent me on my way, ready to plant some trees and make my little space my own little food forest. Me and my roommate have started a completely edible permaculture landscape as well. Literally all 99% of our knowledge has been all from his YouTube videos. So he's definitely making the world a better place.
Thanks, bro. This is what I call my food 401k.
Yeah.
You know, like, I used to be a standard landscaper. I used to put plants in the ground because they looked cool,
yeah,
you know, in the landscape. You know, now, like, it was like someone turned the lights on me when we went from that standard landscape to becoming an ecological landscaper. You know, I'm planting things that pay you back. I'm planting things that can heal your body. I'm planting things that are going to feed you. I'm planting things that you're going to get excited about and tell your neighbor. You know, this is what this is about too. You know, we want to inspire other people. We want to motivate them. We want them to kind of start playing, start learning, get your hands in the dirt.
Is this something that you've always been drawn to, these edible food forest landscapes, or is it something that you've kind of learned along the way?
You know, I would love to say that I've always been drawn to it. I wish that I would have started earlier, to be honest with you. You know, yes, I've been playing with plants my whole life. I grew up in the landscaping business. My dad, you know, had a landscaping business. But for me, you know, when I was a young guy, 20 years old, I started cutting grass, doing landscaping, because it was fun. You know, it paid the bills. It was kind of like Mario Kart. Get out there and run around on the mowers, get the job done. It was just really cool working for myself, you know, and we kind of just started waking up the food. I had a child. He was sick as a kid. And to be honest with you, Will, the tipping point for me was the correlation between Roundup, Agent Orange, and our agriculture today. You know, when I learned about, you know, chemicals in food, chemicals in the environment, you know, I knew it was time for me to, you know, make a change. So, you know, this originally started for me with annual gardens before I even found permaculture. Yeah. You know, I opened a store. I was selling seeds, nutrients, grow towers.
That's awesome.
And then about 3 months into that, I found permaculture.
Yeah.
You know, and I was like, oh my gosh, like everything just kind of clicked. Everything came together.
It makes so much more sense.
Yeah, you know, so it's completely brought a passion back into what I do, a love for my job, you know. I mean, beyond that, you know, like I'll never learn all of this.
Yeah.
You know, there's 40,000 edible species of plants in the world, you know, and inside of that we have varieties, you know, some things like apples, there's 10 10,000, 20,000 varieties.
Yeah,
you
a
know?
lot of people don't realize that too. They just know the small amount of variety of foods that they see at the grocery store, and they have no idea that there's hundreds of different varieties of bananas. There's so many different varieties of mangoes. Actually, it might have been last time I was here, I had the like world's best mangoes, didn't I?
We had some coconut creams, we had some orange sherbet, we had fruit punch, we had pineapple pleasure. Yeah, I mean,
people don't realize that there's all these different varieties that like specialize, that are grown, and they actually have so much more flavor, they have so much more nourishment because they're grown properly.
I was up over 40 varieties of bananas here at one point. I'm probably in like the 25, 30 variety range, but there's lots of different gingers, pineapples, starfruit, mangoes, lychee, longan, perennial vegetables. I mean, taro, malanga. And this is kind of us all in that understory situation, in that dappled light, you know. And we've had 7 frosts already this year, so by planting into the existing oak canopy that I have here, we're utilizing that microclimate. And by microclimate, I mean when it's 32 degrees over there in the front of the farm, under this area it might be 35, it might be 38 degrees. You know, there could be a 6 to 8 degree difference here in the canopy, and those trees are kind of creating that blanket to bring up the warmth level in here. So, you know, we've got dead plants over there that are completely exposed areas, and we're looking at bananas right now that are completely untouched, you know, because they're in that canopy area being protected by that microclimate.
That's awesome, and that's something that you don't really get in the monoculture, huh?
Not at all, you know, in those row crops, you know, where we're taking advantage of, you know, not just that, these oaks are constantly mulching the system. You know, they're constantly dropping their leaves every year. They're constantly putting that organic matter down on the ground. That's helping to retain moisture. That's helping to build mycelium. You know, we have a living soil out here, a living network, you know, where plants are communicating with each other. The mycelium, to me, is the internet of the soil. It's the allowance of those plants to communicate. It can actually take humidity from the air and transpire it as, you know, moisture into the soil on dry days. You know, this is how forests can just take in, you know, moisture naturally without having that rain. So I mean,
that's awesome.
Kind of have to have that, you know?
Yep, and that's also how the forest and even you with your edible landscape can grow all these foods, and you don't need chemicals, you don't need to add in all this extra stuff, because you have just the mycelium to almost work for you in a lot of ways.
Living life soils, yeah. So something I'll point out, you know, right here, we're on, you know, just over 6 acres. I've got, you know, thousands and thousands of plants and trees in the ground, and, you know, we have no irrigation on the entire farm.
Wow.
You know, everything out here was a little bit watered, maybe when it was put in, or was watered at the right, you know, installed at the right time of year while we're in rainy season. So they develop, you know, with those rains. You know, all these plants are kind of thriving on neglect. I'm not really into babying things or giving them a lot of love and attention. You know, I want to be able to plant something, you know, give it a little bit of love, but kind of forget it and come back out, and it's constantly paying me back. So, standard agriculture today, it's typically annual vegetables. Annual vegetables are very short-rooted, you know, constantly sucking those nutrients out of the soil, where perennial vegetables, when I say perennial, that's something that lives 2 or more years. You know, those roots go much deeper down into the soil profile, reaching those minerals and nutrients. They also last for, you know, for years on years, that you don't have to constantly replant them like you would an annual. So yeah, they're much more nutrient dense, much easier to grow, can handle our heat, you know, can handle our humidity, can handle our heavy rains. So I mean, it kind of just makes sense. Like, you know, annuals are cool. I know everybody's still going to want their kale out there and our lettuces, and there's some things that we can't give up. But you know, what this really comes down for me is, it's eating in season, eating locally. And you know, something I want to point out, like this organic word, it's very loosey-goosey. You know, organic today has been so wish-washed. You know, a farmer has to prove that he's organic. He's still using organic chemicals, you know, so what me and Will are doing and what I'm doing, yes, it's organic, but I don't like to use that O word. I like beyond organic. You know, we have more regenerative type practices, you know, where, you know, we don't need that word in there to kind of put a stamp on our stuff to say it's, you know, it's organic. This is beyond organic. You know, this is the next level. This is biodynamic.
Yeah, and you mentioned local, you know, it's in season grown as well, and I think that's amazing, because what a lot of people don't realize is plants are a lot smarter than us in the ways where they actually source the perfect nutrients that you need to live and to thrive in that environment. So somebody living in Florida actually will get a lot more benefit from, say, a citrus fruit than somebody living in Washington State. Same with an apple as well. Like, an apple gives you actually the perfect nutrients to survive in the climate of, say, Washington State, or a cold, rainy place, as opposed to when it's shipped all the way to Florida, it not only loses the nutritional value because it's been a long time since it's been picked and it's not exactly the nutrients that we need, but it just, yeah, it doesn't give us the perfect nutrients, as opposed to something grown that's specifically grown in your area will give you the perfect nutrients to thrive in the area that you live in.
No, exactly. I agree with that, Will. You know, local, beyond organic, healthy living soils, you know, eating in season. You know, I mean, when you're eating things in season, you know, a lot of times you're not getting allergies and stuff. If
Yeah,
you're eating stuff that's been grown locally. I mean, you know, I know people that get allergy problems, you know, and by just eating local honey can help. You know, local foods. You know, so when it's watermelon season in Florida is when we want to eat watermelons. You know, not when it's 6 months out of season growing from, you know, the other side of the country.
And that's what got me started on this whole thing, is literally just searching and looking for the absolute best possible nourishment that I could possibly find. And it always came down to eating the food as close as you can grown to you, and as in season, of course, because the longer it takes from the time that you pick that fruit to the time you eat it, it just loses not only flavor but the nutritional value as well.
Just diminishes quickly.
Yeah, exactly.
It's horrible. It's a parlor maple hibiscus, and you know, not everything on our farm is just growing for fruiting purposes. Although this is edible, this is helping to bring in beneficial insects, predatory insects, butterflies, and also.
Whoa, wait. So you mean to tell me that you actually want insects and bugs to be in your garden?
That is actually key. You know, diversity in the system, different smells, different scents. You know, we're bringing in predatory insects, we're bringing in wasps, we're bringing in bees, we're bringing in butterflies, we're bringing in ladybugs. You know, that's the whole idea in this diverse system. You know, so when a predator does come in, there's not just one scent. You know, we have all these different scents and smells kind of throwing him off. You know, so you know, if there is a pest problem, usually it's self-maintaining. You know?
It takes care of itself, because then it attracts something else to take care of that pest. It's funny, that's what happens when things are in balance. Oh, you're eating that?
So all hibiscuses actually have edible flowers, and that was a little sweeter than I expected. There's a good amount of sugar right here inside the cap, and that red Turks Cap over there is even better. But yeah, you can eat this whole flower. Yeah, I would do it like this right there. See what's dripping out of that right now? It's like pure sugar. Get rid of the green part.
You don't eat the greens?
No. Did you get any sugar? Here, eat that tail right there, bro. I'm telling you, it's got sugar right in it.
Oh,
dude.
that was like a little piece of candy.
This is that Turks Cap Hibiscus kind of growing on the edge of our food forest, and we grow a lot of edible flowers around here on Sand Hill Farm, and this one's just probably the most phenomenal. So try that one, Will. Give us a little munch. Oh, sugar, right?
No, that is good.
Pretty amazing, huh?
And what's that called?
That's a Turks Cap Hibiscus, or a swamp hibiscus.
Why don't I have that one?
I don't know. I'm gonna send you home with one today. I'll tell you right now.
So Pete, why do you do what you do? You know, so we heard the backstory of what got you into it, but what keeps you motivated? What is your biggest goal through everything that you do?
Well, I think I do what I do mostly for kids. You know, I feel like they're the future of this world, and you know, if we want to get them on the right path, you know, we need to teach them now while they're young. So, you know, I'd say that's probably my #1 reason.
Yep.
You know, some of my big goals is, you know, I want to plant 1 million trees.
That's awesome.
But more than that, I want to inspire 1 million other Petes. You know, I want 1 million other guys out there like me doing edible landscaping, you know, teaching the next guy, you know.
Yeah.
Only way we're going to hit this tipping point in this permaculture movement is to, you know, get 12 to 18% of the population to know what permaculture is. You know, once we get to that point, you know, we will hopefully shift in a regenerative type direction. I aim to inspire, to teach, and to motivate others, you know, to do what I'm doing and get out there and, you know, get your hands dirty. You know, it feels good.
Yeah.
Get another tree in the ground, play in the dirt. But I think some of my other goals would be, you know, teaching center, you know, obviously growing my YouTube channel and audience, the positive response and comments and people that tell me they've been influenced by my videos, you know, it makes me happy at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You know, it gives me that gratification that, all right, you know, we're on the right track, we're doing something, you know, we're motivating, we're inspiring, we're teaching, like, you know, I'm a lot of these dreams, Will, that I have are already starting to come to fruition.
Yeah, that's
you know,
awesome.
Keep following the right path, you know, and it all just kind of lays in your way. Something I'll point out to you guys, like, you know, this is the end of January. Actually, today is February 1st.
Yeah.
What am I saying? Like this isn't supposed to look so good right now.
Yeah.
You know, if you come here in the middle of summer when our rainy season, everything is lush. I mean, it literally looks like a rainforest out here. You know, everybody's got these really sandy soils, you know, by creating these living soils. And by doing so, #1 pointer if I can give you guys is mulch.
Yeah.
Tree mulch, you know, whatever that mulch may be that's native to your area. So like right here in Florida, that central region, that pioneer species had been oak mulch. So oak mulch will contain the bacteria, the fungi, you know, that's already present in our soil to break it down. So when we put that stuff down on the ground, we're retaining moisture, we're feeding the worms, we're feeding the microbes, you know, we're creating that mycelium we had talked about, and it's typically a free product.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a no-brainer. Like you've contacted tree services.
Oh, dude, that was the biggest thing that I learned.
Changer, you know?
When I first started to grow, I was having the hardest time just to keep everything alive because I was having to buy soil from Home Depot and then mix with my sandy soil. I had to work really hard to keep the plants alive. And then when I started learning about permaculture, I learned that just deep mulch. Now all of a sudden my backyard went from completely sandy soil to now I have really like black gold, nice nutritious soil that I actually have a whole video of on my channel of
building
how
soil?
of how I went from sand to soil in less than a year.
Soil here is alive. Like this is just a driveway we're standing on. I mean, this was pure sand a couple of years ago. You know, I mean, now I can dig down in here, you know, and there's mycelium. I mean, if I go a little further, we'll start to get into worms. There's worm castings.
Florida we really just have super sandy soil that makes it super hard to grow anything. So what are you eating?
Oh, just another Turks Cap Hibiscus.
Oh, you got more?
This is a pink one, yeah.
Look, he's got this whole plant over here.
We're loaded.
He's just loaded with food. Look, and those are bananas back there, right?
We got elderberry, bananas, pinto palm mix and edible fruit, sugar cane, papayas, Mexican sunflower, Fakahatchee grass, cassava, perennial peanut, sweet potatoes, just in this small little area right behind me.
Just in that?
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, we got 2 different nitrogen fixers in here. We're growing our fertilizer. You know, we have a ground cover that's protecting the soil. That's really the key into our systems. You know, if we don't plant the plants we want, we're gonna get the plants we don't want. You know, so by planting densely, planting a lot of plants, whether it be, you know, cover crops of beans, perennial peanut, sunshine mimosa, sweet potato, whatever it may be, you know, if we don't have skin on our arms, what's going to happen? We're going to get an infection. We're going to get, you know, something that comes in. So we have to look at these ground covers as kind of like the skin on our arm. We want to protect that. This way we're going to keep that organic matter there for the longest period of time. So, you know, having bare soil, what's going to happen? We're going to get weeds, right? You know, so I kind of like to look at the plants as the weeds. You know, we plant the weeds we want, or we're going to get the weeds that we don't want. You know, I've chosen edible, medicinal, you know, useful weeds, you know, things that make sense, you know.
And isn't there like a huge thing if you have that soil that is actually directly facing the sun, doesn't the sun just kill the mycelium and the bacteria that you need, right? It'll just
pretty much burn off.
Yeah, I mean, so you definitely want to make sure that soil's covered.
Our high humidity here too, you know, really it tends to eat soil life. So it's a multiple of factors here in Florida.
Alright guys, so if you do plan on planting any trees or starting your own garden or really doing anything outside, think about checking out the app My Radar. It's a completely free app that gives you the instant radar of wherever you at or wherever you want to go, and all you got to do is just click on it and it just lets you know if there's any rain, sleet, snow are coming, so you can know if you got to water your plants or you're going to get caught in the rain or not.
So this guy completely froze down to the ground last year, but this is a broadleaf papaya. And it's just starting to set some fruit. If we have a mild winter, I'll probably get a fruit set on it. And for y'all watching these videos and like you're in, you know, Michigan or somewhere maybe a little bit more northern, you're like, you know, I can't grow papayas. Papayas can actually be grown as an annual vegetable along with some other perennials that we grow here. So you could start those early in, you know, towards the end of winter in your greenhouse, get them out in spring. Even if they don't ripen, they can be eaten as a green vegetable.
Wow.
I really like papaya salad. Like if you go to a Thai restaurant or something, that's one of my favorite ways to eat it. You know, ripe, they're good. They're very good for you. Obviously, there's lots of good properties. The flavor to me it's kind of okay. It can be musky, you know, probably. Mm-hmm. You know, I just got back from Costa Rica. I don't know what's going on over there. I don't know if it's the clay soils, what the difference is, but the papayas taste like honey. They're night and day, so I'd probably eat more ripe papayas if I lived in Costa Rica, but I prefer them on the green side here. Almost ready. Couple more weeks and we'll be eating.
Oh, really? We got some fruit coming in on the loquat, huh?
Good.
Nice.
Yeah, we probably grow 10 different grafted varieties of loquats here on the farm. And you know, many of y'all have probably seen these fruits growing up.
Yeah.
You know, it's commonly confused with kumquat, and these have actually naturalized over Florida, so they're not native here. But in my opinion, like loquats, they're like a small peach. They're delicious. They start coming in around Christmas and they don't stop until April with the different varieties. So very cold hardy. I actually get more calls from people for the leaves for medicinal purposes than I even do the fruit. It's very similar to like soursop, how it's being used for, you know, potential anti-cancer properties. So I think nature like literally has all the answers out here.
Yeah, for sure. We just have to learn where to find the answers and got to learn how to listen.
So, you know, this right here would typically, you know, be considered a weed. You know, this is a very common one. Some people call this chamber bitters. This is actually Chonka piedra or stonebreaker. Like if you go to Whole Foods, they sell this in a supplement, okay? And this will naturally dissolve your kidney stones.
Really?
You know, and I know holistic vets that prescribe this. You could just break this off, you know, steep it into a tea. You do want to take it with some fats and stuff to make it a little bit more absorbable, but, you know, like this grows in my garden. This will absorb, you know, dissolve kidney stones. Like,
that's amazing.
Nature's got the answer for everything.
When it's all said and done, say at the end of your life, what do you hope to accomplish?
Well, I hope there's millions of people inspired by me that are going to be inspiring people to keep planting trees. You know, I mean, I hope to be the grease on the wheel of this tipping point. You know, I'm not looking to become big or famous or anything like that. You know, I'm more excited about inspiring others, you know, getting others doing what I'm doing, really just kind of getting the word out. And if I can say that I was maybe a little bit of that grease on that wheel of that tipping point, you know, that's going to change humanity in this regenerative direction, that to me would be probably one of the most fulfilling things in my life.
Now, what is the one message that you feel like you want to get out into the world?
I think get your hands out there in the dirt. Don't be afraid. You know, I think the biggest thing that I have noticed in this gardening permaculture movement, and everybody's talking, everybody's reading, nobody's doing. You know, I want to see more doers. You know, get out there, experiment. You know, I don't read a lot of books. I'll tell you guys right now, I learn the most from mistakes, and that's all happening through trial and error out here. You know, just from experimenting. You know, don't be scared of failure. You know, I always tell people, fail better. You know, fail better. You're gonna get better at this as you go. You know, so just don't be scared to get out there and stick something in the dirt, to try, to learn. It's exciting. You know, it kind of it'll get you going at night. So like I had mentioned, we've been here on this farm for about 6 years, and I'm up here kind of in a central area, the main driveway, and you know, looking this way is north, and you know, right now everything's a little bit yellow, going deciduous, going dormant in the wintertime. But what we have focused out here in this north exposed field are most of our stone fruits. We have a large bamboo windbreak that's going to help to keep more moisture in the garden, that's going to help to cut down on wind. Wind can really burn plants. So you know, as we're working our way into the farm and working our way into those microclimate areas, we have more of those tropical species. So, you know, out here we have peaches, plums, persimmons, pears, mulberries, figs. You know, the list goes on of mostly stone fruits in that area. There is some cold hardy avocados, and then as we work our way back, you know, we start experimenting. Like we have jujubes, we have bananas, we have papayas, we have white sapote, we have cherry of the Rio Grande. We've got 10 different types of star fruit. You know, and I've really, you know, kind of pushed the edge out here. Some things I'm not supposed to be growing. Last year it was really cold. We lost a couple of mangoes. I have a couple of mangoes that have survived. So, you know, all the books will tell you that won't work. You know, I'll tell you this, the plants don't read the books. You know, it's worth experimenting, it's worth playing, it's worth trying different stuff. So, you know, like I said, get out there and plant something. This is sweet almond, and y'all don't know, like, we need scratch and sniff for this one. This is very, what I like to call odorific. Like literally my neighbors think I spray Febreze outside. It has just a wonderful fragrance, almost better than gardenias all year long. And you know, not everything, like I mentioned here on the farm, is edible. You know, the idea of having this is to bring in beneficial and predatory insects to help with pollination, to help with natural pest controls. You know, so I've literally been out here and counted, you know, 26 different beneficial and predatory insects buzzing on this plant at one time, like things I've never even seen before. I'm like, what is that? What is that? You know, it's like mind-blowing. So we have things like the sweet almond, firebush, you know, native elderberry. You know, that's one, my wife is an herbalist. She'll collect the berries from that, make that into a tincture that's really good for bronchioles, colds, antibacterial. You know, that's just a native plant that grows here that most people would see as a weed. You know, that I saw that ornamental value from being a standard landscaper. Like everybody wants to put these you know, umbrella type trees in front of their house, which would typically be a ligustrum, like we could do that with an elderberry and get that same shape and have those beneficial factors, you know, and not just being something that we prune that's costing us money all the time. So, you know, by getting all those different species in here, it's not like we're attacking just one. Like if I had a big field of peaches, you know, yeah, I'm probably asking for potentially having some type of problems, but by having peaches and plums and pears and mulberries and figs and olives and avocados and all these different scents and smells out here, you know, that predator comes in and he's thrown off. You know, he's instantly, maybe he's going to go to that next field or that citrus grove down the road. He's going to leave me alone. You know, there's a lot going on here. He doesn't want anything to do with my predators. All right, so right in this little food forest area by the house, you know, we've got a ground cover. This is actually an edible ground cover of longevity spinach, and this is one of those perennials I was talking to y'all about. And this is highly nutritious, highly medicinal. I mean, obviously you can just eat it raw. It's strong though. I mean, you can taste the minerals, the nutrients. They actually say in Southeast Asia, this is touted to have 1 million different medicinal properties. So this is a superfood. This grows here like a weed.
Oh, give me one. You're not getting no superfood nutrients without me having.
Get on it. It's strong. Like you can taste minerals and nutrients. It's not like eating a piece of lettuce, you know?
I feel like I'm getting healthier each bite.
So something I wanted to point out to y'all real quick. Like, you know, we grow our fertilizer. So not only do we have nitrogen fixing ground covers, nitrogen fixing trees, which means that those ground covers and those trees can take the air we breathe and through a symbiotic relationship and soil-borne bacteria actually turn that into fertilizer in the ground, you know. So we have, you know, nitrogen fixing mimosa, nitrogen fixing peanut, you know, caliandra trees, ice cream bean trees. But what's even better than that, and what's really easy to grow that I wanted to show y'all, was the Mexican sunflower. It grows like a weed here. It makes a perennial sunflower. It actually kind of gets maybe a bad rap because it can get really tall, touch down, and reroot. And some people would say it's invasive, but the way we manage it in our systems, we chop and drop. And by chop and drop, I'll show you over here, we grow a lot of clumping grasses. So you can grow lemongrass, you can grow vetiver grass, you can grow mealy grass. One of the ones we like the most is probably Fakahatchee grass. This is a native grass here in Florida. And as you can see, we just recently cut that grass back. You know, this is a carbon source of material. This is high in silica. So we have this high nitrogen, high carbon, high silica. You know, we're getting that carbon nitrogen ratio. So when I come out here and I prune, you know, this can grow 4 to 5 foot a month. You know, pound for pound equal to chicken manure while wet. You know, so this is like pure nitrogen. It's also said to be a dynamic accumulator, and by dynamic accumulator, I mean its roots are going super low into the soil profile and bringing up nutrients that other plants can't reach or access, bringing it up into the plant. So when I cut that back and lay that down, I'm taking those nutrients that are way down there in the soil. I'm taking that high nitrogen and I'm just laying it around the tree. So whatever that tree may be, you know, whether it be an olive tree, whether it be a loquat tree, we'll pile all of this organic matter, biomass, around the tree. This is a grass, not exactly a good example. And we lay that grass on top of it. And what that grass is doing for us, because it is that high carbon, that high silica, it's kind of shielding that really sensitive green material from the sun, and it's making it a slower breakdown process. So what I'm trying to mimic here and create is a slow release fertilizer with plants that we grow.
Just like the forest does, and that's what helps you to be able to grow so much abundance without having to add in all the fertilizers, right?
Exactly.
It does it the natural way, just the same way the forest does it.
You know, nature has this all figured out. All we have to do is watch and listen. We grow hundreds of different types and varieties of trees here on the farm, but I wanted to show you all. This is like my favorite tree. We have some of these in the ground, I have some of these in pots, and this is called the Japoticaba, and it actually fruits right off of the trunk of the tree and makes like the most delicious grape you've ever had before. Similar to a jackfruit, how they fruit right off the trunk of the tree, that's called coliferous production. So this whole little trunk right now is covered in little flowers, and it'll get the most delicious little fruit you've ever had. And I would just consider it to be like the best grape I've ever had, also known as the Brazilian tree grape. So cool looking tree, takes down into the 20s. That's the other thing I'll kind of point out. You know, we are 30 miles north of Tampa up here. We get frost, we get freeze. So I have to have things that are a little bit hardy too, you know. So this is a more cold hardy, interesting, rare tropical that we can grow here. So this is a star fruit, and most of y'all have probably seen star fruit in the grocery store, and you know, something I'll point out, like all those star fruits in the grocery store, that's one commercial variety that's only grown for shelf life and shipping. They're typically, you know, picked green, like they would a tomato in gas to ripen. So, you know, these homegrown fruits taste different. You know, I mean, you're picking them at the right time. They're fresh. There's different varieties. So I grow 12 different varieties of star fruit, and the number one pro tip I can give you on growing star fruit is they are wind intolerant. So they can handle dappled light really well. They like being in that understory situation. You know, this tree can produce 2,000 pounds of fruit a year. I got 10 of these on the farm.
Wow.
Like, this is a good problem to have, this abundance, you know, like we're gonna dehydrate this stuff. We can juice this stuff. This is like star fruit juice is amazing. Kids love this. Eating this out of hand is good. Like, it's kind of like a win-win all around, and I'm not gonna bite into it. You are, Will.
Oh, give it.
Dude.
This is actually one of my favorite fruits. Is what got me into the love of food forest is actually star fruit tree.
I love it, bro.
Whoa!
Dude.
That does taste a lot different.
Dude.
Oh, these are so good.
Ridiculous. All right, you want to point out some of the fruit? You want me to? You gotta show them all this abundance, Will. Come on now.
Show them.
Look up in here. Like, just lift that up a little bit.
This guy got more fruit than he knows what to do with.
Whoa.
Look at that.
Y'all got to remember too, we were, you know,
You could feed a village with that.
I could. Dude. It was 24 degrees last year for 4 hours. You know, everything here got smoked down to a stick.
Yeah.
It's back.
All right, Pete, so for everyone who is going to be more interested in learning more about you and about permaculture and watching your videos, where can they find you?
Green Dreams FL, Pete Kanaris on YouTube. Obviously, I'm on the same platforms you are, Instagram, Facebook, all that good stuff.
And I will leave all of his contacts or links in the description below. And we really hope that you guys enjoyed this video, and we hope to inspire you guys and hopefully planting some of your own trees in your own space to make the world a little bit better of a place. And if you enjoyed this video, if it helped in any way, please give it a big old thumbs up and think about subscribing.
You heard Will. Like, subscribe, share, and how I love to end my videos, pound dirt. Boom!